This actually inadvertently brings up a thing I've been thinking about lately. So like, not the last podcast, maybe the one before that. We kind of talked about stuff we wanted to see in anime, like stuff be animated. And I was like, man, a Fallout anime would be really cool. Since then, I've thought that's a fucking dumb idea.
Why?
So the reason this thought kind of had like turned was Amazon Prime has been in the works and doing a Fallout TV show.
Right.
And they're like, it's been confirmed they're filming, a bunch of set photos have been coming out. And I was like, you know what? I don't actually want this, because like D&D kind of follows a similar path, but D&D's a little, I don't want to say more linear, but like it has some expectation. Like it has like an idea of where you're trying to go. Fallout kind of has that as well, but that's not the interesting portion. Like, if you made a TV show about the main storyline in Fallout 4 of trying to find Sean and stuff, it's got its moments, but it's not, like, slapping. And kind of the same thing with Fallout 3 and New Vegas to an extent. But it just, like, the set photos, they look kind of okay, but it reminds me of Halo in the way that, like, oh, why is this Chevy Tahoe 200 years in the future and in space?
So never finished Halo.
Yeah, I didn't either, but like I could laugh at the memes when I'd see them. But like the set photos, it's like, oh, they didn't like try to actually make the fake blown out cars. They just got old car bodies and sat them there. And it's like, I get the idea, and maybe it's a placeholder and they'll CG it in later or something. But I kind of get the vibe they're not.
CG it, make it older.
Yeah, just, well, because, like, the cars in Fallout, for being very inconsequential things that are usually more of a hindrance because they just blow you the fuck up, have very unique looks. Like, they are obviously, like, very 50s inspired, but, like, they aren't based on, there's not, like, a real-world example, effectively. So they're not going to, like, make that, which is a very minor thing, but it's emblematic of a larger problem of, hey, we're just gonna do this thing and you're gonna kind of just accept that this is our Fallout. And I was like, you know, like all the cool shit that happens on the side doesn't get put in these shows. Like the Halo show is kind of mid or bad depending on who you ask, because it misses the point of why Halo is fun. And for someone who doesn't play Halo, maybe I'm wrong, but just shoot bang alien multiplayer. That's it. Like there's some world, but
no, bang alien is Mass Effect, Cody.
No, see, shoot bang alien is Halo. Bang alien is Mass Effect. Kind of weird that one doesn't have a. I guess it kind of falls in the same issue, but and it reminds me of like whenever they adapt something. And Amazon Prime's the one I kind of think about most, but like when they did Man in the High Castle, a bunch of people were like, yo, this book's really good. And then I was like, oh yeah, this show kind of sucks, because like the world is way more interesting and you putting these characters in front of me is distracting me from the world.
Right.
And it's not like in a good way. They're not interesting characters. It's like, oh, this lady is trying to get this thing from her sister to take to someone else and I don't give a shit about any of them. Tell me about why the Reich and Japan are not on good terms anymore. What happened to America? Let's go. Let's find out. And it's just that. It's like all of the really eccentric world building and detailed weird shit that goes on makes way more sense in a book. Like there's not necessarily a middle ground that like Overlord has, where the book is great supplemental material, but the anime stands in its own right. And a lot of people like Man in the High Castle, so, you know, maybe I'm just being a bitch, but, like, The Expanse also kind of did this to me, and I feel so bad, because I wanted to get into The Expanse so bad, because everyone's like, it's one of the best, most realistic, hard science sci-fis. And I'm like...
The show or the book?
The show.
Oh, okay.
And I was like...
I haven't...
Oh.
I think I've seen like 3 episodes of the show.
Yeah, I got through, I think, most of the first season, and I'm like, I can't force myself to keep watching this.
Mm-hmm.
But I've watched lore videos because I was curious, and I was like, I don't want to watch the actual show. I just want like give me the footnotes.
I'm a lore whore.
Yeah, just feed me the lore. YouTube, just do it. And they both take a very strange turn that I'm like, this is the not. I'm sure these things happen in the book, so like it's not necessarily their fault, but like you've missed the entire point of why this is interesting. Of like, oh, the weird internal politics of the Reich and its different areas and how it handles being a weird superpower that isn't really being a good like it's not functioning as a superpower. It's just a bunch of blocks put together. And like the Imperial Japanese government is in decline, and then like Expanse, you have like the cool Mars shit and the Belters and the Earth and all of them kind of fighting it out. And then you're like, yo, aliens, bro. And you're like, what? Like, I get it, but that's not, no. And then the whole devolution of that. And I feel like that's what they're going to do with Fallout. As they're like, we can't tell a good personal story of just some rando in the Commonwealth or in the Capital Wastelands. Or I think that the speculation is it's set in New York. So in New York. So we're going to be like, hey, this person is going to be kind of bland and walk through a really cool burnt out New York. We're not going to talk to the side factions. We're not going to talk to side characters. You get the run-of-the-mill story. Like, no.
The Amazon Fallout is set in New York?
It's a speculation. They haven't definitively said, but...
Pretty sure there's not supposed to be anything left in New York because all the major cities got fucking bombed.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the capital in Boston, though.
Target.
Boston, like, you can't go to the southeast of Boston because it's just a wasteland, like a literal.
That's where the bombs hit.
Yeah.
So I feel like Manhattan would just be a wasteland, like a literal radioactive wasteland. Like
it makes me think, because
like a glowing sea, because that's where the fucking bombs hit.
Yeah.
So it's like all the cool stuff, like all the most notable things in New York I'd feel
probably
like would be gone.
Yeah. I don't know, because it's not definitive, but some of the set photos were taken in Brooklyn, but they were in a studio in Brooklyn of the like vault interior. So I'm not sure if it's that they were just getting a good deal on space and they were just filming there, because they're also filming all the wasteland scenes in Montana. Once again, probably because it's cheap, but also Montana's a fucking wasteland because there's nothing there. But people were saying that like that was kind of the initial idea for Fallout 4 was to be in New York, so maybe they're taking some of that, but I don't know. It like, because another thing that kind of I'm not super thrilled about, which is a bunch of this is minor shit, but it goes back to the fucking stupid ass Starbucks cup in the final season of Game of Thrones. It's like, it just no one really gives a shit, and they're just kind of like, oh, we're doing our own thing, and that may not really appease the people that you're trying to appease by making a show in the Fallout universe. The set photos they show of like a super duper mart, which also has a couple of like burnt out cars, it looks like a strip mall. And I'm just like, I get that like it's a building and you kind of have to work with what you've got, but it just doesn't like feel like it's gonna be good. And that kind of like led me down the idea of like, well, okay, what would I actually want an anime adaptation of Fallout to look like? And it wouldn't be something that would probably exist, because they couldn't do it in like 11 episodes, most likely, or 12. Like, it would have to be 2 or 3 seasons of, oh, you get to, like, if it was like Fallout 4, you get your, like, portion where you're going to find Sean, and then, like, at the end, you get sent to be like, okay, now you gotta go find the Institute. Then maybe season 2, you run into Paladin Dans and you do some Brotherhood shit. Then the next season, you fuck around with the railroad or...
Brotherhood.
Yeah. Like, you have to have those different instances because all the interesting shit in those games are side people. Like, trying to find the Gek and help your dad in 3 is like, okay, whatever. I mean, it's okay as a story, but all the cool shit along the way was exploring the Capital Wasteland. In New Vegas, it's, oh, shit, do I like the NCR? Do I like the Legion? Do I like Mr. House?
Or you can just do it for yourself, which is what I did.
Exactly. Like, there are a collective number of choices that go into making a final decision, and I think that even going on the quote-unquote kind of good, neutral path really alienates you from doing a lot of the cool shit. Because, like, you have to do some scummy shit to hang out with the Brotherhood. You have to do some really scummy shit to hang out with the Institute. You have to maybe do some illegal shit in terms of, like, journalistic integrity to hang out with Piper in particular. You have to do, like, some really interesting things with the Railroad, and then, like, you as a character being put in the position of, oh, do I like the Railroad? Do I like the Brotherhood? Do I say fuck it and go with the Institute? Or do I just do my own thing? Do I hang out with the Minutemen even though they really don't fuck with anyone else? Do I shoot at Preston Garvey because he won't shut the fuck up about settlements? I don't know. But I just don't think a series really can portray that same feeling of making the choice and exploring things.